Heidi ho, my crafty friends. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. Now, today we are going to start on our third book cover. Now, or journal cover. Journal cover, sorry. Now, remember, these journal covers don't have pages in them. We're not decorating them. We're just creating the covers. Okay? Now, if you want to go on and put pages in them, and then put them with your stash, you go right ahead. But I am just creating the covers and then putting my covers off in my save spot, for use at a different time. So today we're going to make this little soft cover. Now let me show you here. I made this several years ago with my Facebook group, and we used this little bubbly envelope that I happened to get from Amazon. And can you hear the bubbles? I love bubbles. Now, if you don't like that sound, sorry. I should have put a warning up, bubbles, so you could lower your volume if you wanted. But this is what you're going to need. Now, this one measures, let's see, 8.5 by, let me move my wet wipes here. It's 8.5 inches wide, and it is, looks like 13, hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. I was out in the garden today, and I've got, I think I still have dirt up my nose. 13.5 inches tall. So it's 8.5 inches wide by 13.5 inches tall. Oh, and my throat is still dry. And you want this top part to be open. And you want it to be as straight as possible. So, you know where you can pull that little zippy thing and it opens straight. Now, if yours isn't straight, just take your scissors and your ruler and cut it straight. It's that easy. And that's all you need for your base. That's all you need for the base part. Now, I'm covering mine with fabric. And I'm just covering mine with this fabric. Now, this is what it's going to end up looking like. This is the front. Okay, so this is the envelope. Now, in this journal, we just put one big fat signature. That's all we did. See, just one big fat signature. That's all that was in it. And we decorated it. And for my closure, I put the closure inside, and it goes all the way into here, and it's sewed on the inside on the envelope. Oops, sorry, I hit the camera. Boy, I really hit the camera. It's sewed on the inside onto the envelope before I covered it. And then I covered everything and then put this down. Now, this piece here is a separate piece of fabric. See, it's right here. Oh, and my glue's coming up. I must have used stick glue. I just took a piece of fabric and I folded it, ironed it down, and then stuck it down. So I probably used my glue stick. So glue stick does not work well, as you can see. So I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac and put this back down. So I'm glad I got this out and looked. So I could stick this back down. Stick this back down here. And it's one panel for the front. And then it's a whole nother panel for the back. Now the back has a hidden pocket that's lined right here. And we're going to also make that hidden pocket. Now that hidden pocket is actually the front of the envelope. So the front of the envelope, so the envelope is actually going like this. So see, it's going like this. Let me readjust here so you can see. This is how it's actually going. Okay. And here's your hidden pocket that you can put, you know, all kinds of things in. And with the tie attached here before the fabric is put in, once it's closed, nothing can come out of it. See what I'm saying? And then we made a top pocket here because we didn't glue down the top of the fabric when we put the top lining in. We just glued down the sides. We didn't glue down the top of the fabric, and you could put a big tag in here. Now, it feels like I glued about halfway right here, but I didn't glue all the way down. Now in the center, I added a different piece of fabric to sew through. It's not the same fabric. I just put down a different piece of fabric to make sure when I sewed here, I was sewing through fabric and not just this. For the new one, I'm going to have the same fabric come all the way across and line the inside. Now, I might line it with some green, maybe some green fabric on the back. I need to look and see. But I also need to choose my tie, what my tie is going to look like. I haven't chosen that yet. Okay? Now, this one might go into two parts because I have to do my sewing onto this. I have to sew where I want my tie to go first. So the sewing of the tie of this has to go. You have to sew it in here, and you need to sew it down a couple of inches. So you're going to sew it on the inside of this part. You're going to sew it in probably about 1.5 inches, maybe just 1 inch. You don't want it to be up close. You want it to come in about 1 inch. Okay, so cut yourself enough for this part. For here, nothing's going to be over here. You want to also do the same, and you want it to be in the same spot. So because these are marked, you know, it has that blue band. I sewed mine in the blue. I just took and sewed it all the way up through the center, and then I sewed it across the blue like that. That was how I did mine. Now, I temporarily glued it down with some glue stick. I just ran a little bit of glue right through the middle of this to hold it in place, and then I sewed it in place. Now, if you tie it too hard, it will tear through the plastic, so you might want to choose something a little bit wider than what I did, because it feels like one of these is coming a little loose because I'm pulling it too hard. Now, I need to clamp down here where I just glued. So I'm going to do that real quick. So I make sure that this dries well. Since it didn't dry well the first time with glue stick. So my advice to you on this project is don't use glue stick. Use a glue that is now, because this is plastic that you're gluing on. I would use your Eileen's tacky glue. Use your Fabri-Tac. Use something that is going to glue well. Your main thing you're gluing on is plastic, or you can sew. I'm going to do a little bit of sewing on mine. I'm going to sew in my ties, and I may sew around the edges. Now, you don't have to worry about your signature that when you put it in, because it's going to be sewed in. So you don't have to worry about that when you do it, because it will be sewed into place. And when we do put a signature in it, it's just going to be one oversized signature. Now, this one, as you can tell, is an oversized signature. Now, it's really hard to tell because of the centerpiece, but normally I just put 10 pieces of folded paper in a signature. This one had closer to 15. Now, so when we do this one, that's most likely what we'll do. And by using this, it gives it a really soft, squishy feel. And this makes a really nice writing journal. So if you're one of those people that like to write in a journal, This is the type of journal I highly recommend for you. So if you're going to make this a writing journal for the summer, you could, if you like to write on white paper, I would put in white paper, maybe some envelopes. So in some envelopes like I'm going to do, I'll show you how to do that and things like that. But if you like to write, make sure you put in paper that you like to write on, because this is the perfect size and it feels really, really nice to be a writing journal. This is just a fabulous feel in your hand to be a writing journal. And in your little hidden pocket back here, you can tuck a pen. You can tuck, your favorite pen, your favorite pencil, whatever you want to take with you to write or to decorate a few pages, while you're out and about. So that works rather nicely. So I'm going to put this aside and we're going to get started on this. Okay, so for this right here, the first thing I need to decide is what am I going to use for my tie, and is this folded straight? So you need to make sure that this is folded straight, because they usually never fold straight. So this is going to be, for the next couple of minutes, crinkly. If you don't like that crinkly sound, turn your volume down, turn on your closed captioning by tapping that little wheel up in the right-hand corner and read the closed captions. Tap that CC and read the closed captions, but turn down your volume so you don't hear the crinkles. Okay? Because I need to make sure that my envelope is folded straight. Okay? So once it's folded straight, this part, the open part, needs to be to my right. Okay? This needs to be to the right, and it needs to be on the bottom. This is my left, and it is on top. Okay? Now, for my closure, I want to match this green or this tan. So if I match the tan, I'm going to go with lace. If I have something to match that green, which I think I do right here on my ribbon rack, boop, right here, this is what I'm going to use. So to do that, I'm going to cut this in half, just like this. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut it in half. And I'm not even going to worry about putting glue on those ends, because those ends are going to get sewed inside. So I'm going to make sure I keep those ends in my hand. Okay, so I'm going to just put that end right there. And I'm going to put a paper clip on it so I don't lose that end. And then this end, is that the one? Yes. This end, I want to line up equal to this end. I want to make sure that they're in their same spot. But this one's going to go inside on the back. Okay, do you see where I have it? It's on the back. Now I need to make sure that it's going in about an inch. So I need to scoot it in a little bit more. Okay, so there's my inch. Now let's make sure they're both in the same spot. Come on, quit wiggling. Okay, right there. So let's put a paper clip on this one, just to hold it still. Okay. just like that. Whoops. It wiggled. Now let's make sure they're the same. Okay, they're good. All right, now I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to pop over to my sewing machine, which is right behind me, and I'm going to sew these in place. Now, if you want this one to be inside the envelope, you can just very simply, let me grab my knife here. No, here it is. Whoops. Hold on. You can just very simply do this. Now I'm going to keep the paper clipped. You can take your knife all right, and what I did was I made a little slit here, and because nothing is really gonna go here, I just need to make sure it's, you know, stays in the same area. Let's get this paper clip off of here. Oh, it's hung up on the plastic. Hold on a second here. Paper clips and plastic, they do not get along well, do they? Now, after you do that, you need to make sure that you sew that closed also. Okay, so I'm going to just tuck this inside that little hole. Just like that, and make sure that they're lined up, just like that. Now I can sew that across there to make sure it's in there far enough. Oops, in a little bit too far. Right there. I can make sure that I can sew across there, and then is the final stitch, I can sew right across the top of that hole, and then I know that it's in the same spot. See, I can show you. They're lined up, and they're both on the inside, so it won't be any problem with them. So let's put this knife, let's put the cap back on this knife. Okay, so I'm going to pop right behind me and stitch this, and I will be right back. Okay, my ties are sewed on here. I still need to trim this thread here. All right, so now we are going to, and we don't need this, let's put that away. So now we're going to put our fabric on. So I cut the inside fabric longer than the outside fabric. So the outside fabric, so for this tie, we're going to make sure it stays on the inside, okay? That way we don't get it snookered up in this. So we're going to, and the same with this one. We're just going to tuck it into the pocket. That way we won't get it caught up on anything. So we're going to take the outside fabric, and it doesn't matter if it's wrinkled a little bit. It just doesn't matter. And we're going to line it up so that we have a little bit of hangover on all the sides. Okay? So we have a little bit of hangover. So we want to keep this on the inside. Just like that. Now, we want to bring this down here. And we want to keep the most hangover. I'm trying to make sure you all can see this here. We want to keep most of the hangover down here. Okay. So this can come down here. Now, I know you're thinking, well, what are we going to do about this? Up here, there's going to be a little slit that this comes through right here that we'll sew across, okay? That'll keep that fabric from splitting. But first we have to get it down, and then we make our slit. So to keep this from wiggling, we need to put a big X of glue on each section. That's all we do. We don't completely cover it. We just take a big X like this to hold it in place. That's all we need to put down. But first you have to get it where you want it. Now, you can sew this in place or you can glue it in place. If you're going to glue it in place, I highly recommend you don't use a glue stick, because a glue stick isn't going to stick to this fabric very well for the long term. That's why I say you only need the big X's on the front, because you're going to bring this over like this, and it's actually going to be sewed right through the middle. That's what's going to be holding this together on the front. So you only need your big X like this, maybe a star shape on the front, just to hold it in place. You don't need to completely cover it. That's a waste of your time and your glue. Now on the inside, what you do need to glue down are around your edges. Okay? You do need to glue around your edges. You do need to make sure your edges are done. So on the front of mine, now again, you need to make sure this stays where you need it. I'm going to use my Aleene's Tacky Glue, because I know it'll stick better than all my other glues. So I'm just going to take some of this, and I'm just going to squirt some like this, and then I'm going to spread it out because I don't want it to bleed through onto my fabric. And I can also just use my fingers. And I'm just squirting a little bit. I know you can't see it because it's... And there's not a lot on here. It's just a little bit. And that's all that's really needed. It's just kind of making this sticky. That's all it's doing. That's all it's doing, is just making the front sticky. And that's all I want it to do, because mine's going to be sewed. Okay, and I'm going to do the same on this side. So I need to keep making sure that it's folded straight. Now you might be able to see a little bit more of it coming down on this side. Yeah, this stuff does not come out fast. Yeah, it's just, and when it does come out, it doesn't come out in big blobs, that's for sure. Which I guess that's what it's supposed to do. Well, my bottle's getting kind of low too. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up. So I just want to make sure that this stays in place. That's all I want. I don't want it wiggling around. I don't want it, you know, squirming on me. So now I can open it flat. Like that. There we go. And it didn't bleed through my fabric at all. So now I can go back to this part and I can determine where I need to cut that little slit. And I'm just going to use my little knife. Ouch. And I'm going to lay this down. Is this the right one? Yes. And I'm going to follow that little cut that I made. And right here, I'm just going to cut a piece in my fabric. Just like that. See it? Right there. That little slit in my fabric. And then I'm going to slide my ribbon through. Well, maybe I will. Okay. Now, when I sew this down, I'll sew across there to keep that from fraying. Now, if you're not going to sew this, what you need to do right now is you need to glue that. You need to take some of your glue and you need to go right across there and you need to glue that so that that doesn't fray. Okay? That's what you need to do if you're not going to sew. Now, if you're not going to sew, you need to take your glue, whatever glue you're using, whether it be Eileen's Tacky Glue, whether it be your Fabri-Tac, whether it be your PVA glue. I do not recommend a glue stick for this. Whether it be your Art Glitter Glue, whatever liquid glue you are going to use, start by folding in the front end. Okay? Fold this end in and get it stuck down really well. You could even use on this, you could even use your Mod Podge if you wanted. Be very light-handed with Mod Podge on this. Very light-handed. Okay? And if you do decide to use Mod Podge, you need to let it dry overnight facing this way before you put your inside panels. Be very light-handed doing this. And don't go over the fabric. Just use Mod Podge underneath it. Don't go over top of it. Okay? Does that make sense? So, if you're going to use Mod Podge as an adhesive, put it down and then put this down. Don't go over the top of it. It'll be too thick and too heavy. Just take your hands and rub it in. Because after it dries, and you need to let it completely dry before you do anything else, that will prevent the sticky feeling that some people feel. And sometimes it takes several hours. If you can put it outside, take it outside. Let all that water evaporate. At my house, it's getting ready to start raining for the next 4 days. So I can't do that. But I can put it someplace where there are ceiling fans to help it dry. And I can let it sit there for several hours to dry. And do the same thing on this side. Except on this side where your pocket's going to be, right here where your pocket's going to be, you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to take your knife and you're going to cut your little slit like this. Okay, just like that. Oops, didn't go all the way through. And you're going to take your ribbon and you're going to poke it through. Okay, and then on the inside, you're going to tuck this in. Now when you get up here, we're gonna trim these, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And then this piece is going to go down. Now, Mod Podge may not work on your bubbles. You may have to use a different glue on your bubbles. But I'm going to be sewing, so I'm going to show you the sewing option. Oh, darn it. Hold on a minute. I need to turn this little pokey-doo upside down because it keeps poking me. Okay. All right, so I need to glue this down temporarily. Okay? So I'm going to do like I did before and temporarily glue this down. And then I'm going to come back and sew. So I'm just going to take a really light and go like this. Okay? To hold this in place. I'm just holding it in place. I'm going to do it there. And I'm going to do it in here. And I'm making sure I'm going over that ribbon. And I'm coming all the way down. Now, when I get to these corners, you see those corners don't fit inside there. do they? Okay, so when you get to those corners, you're going to take your scissors. And you're going to find the corner of your envelope. And, wait a minute, I'm crooked. And you're going to cut straight down, like that. That was not very straight, was it? And you're going to tuck it in. And then this is going to get cut straight off. Just like that. And you're going to do the same thing over here. You're going to cut straight down and straight up. And then you're going to tuck that in. Okay, now that has now protected your ribbon where you sewed right there. Whoops, I just pulled that back out. Okay, can you see that? Now I'm going to do the top, and I'm also going to do these the same way. I'm going to cut over. Oops, here it is. And I'm going to cut over. Now, I just cut these off on these because I don't need the bulk. I don't need any more bulk in this than I already have. Okay, coming across the bottom, all I need is a little bit of sticky. That's all I need, just a little bit of sticky. Just to hold it in place. Yeah, see, it's not very sticky at all. It's just kind of saying, you got to sit here for a minute. That's all it is. Like, I could very easily just pick this up and move it. Very easily. And I'll take care of those corners in just a minute. I just want this to sit still for a minute. Okay. Oops. Now, I have a little puppy dog ears on my corners, on my big corners over here. See the puppy dog ears? There's one right there. It's because I didn't cut it straight. So, you take your scissors. Don't panic. You just take your scissors and you cut straight up. And I think I saw another one. Well, there's going to be another one right here. You take your scissors and you cut straight up. And is that the only other one I saw? Yep. Okay, so that's where I want them. Okay, so now I could take and I could go on and sew this down. I could just go on and sew this down right now. And now when I get to the inside here, I start here, come all the way across, sew down, make sure that your ribbon is pulled out, so straight down and across. When you get here, you have to lift up and sew down, okay? Or you can start on the inside if that's easier for you, and then stop, lift up, and come around. Your inside panel is going to be one big panel, unless you want something different in the middle to sew on. You know how we do our spine piece, and it's sometimes a different fabric. You can do that for the middle if you want. So I'm going to sew this real quick, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so here is my inside fabric. I have cut it to the size that I want. And now I am going to glue it down. Now, it is longer than what I need. So I cut it to the length of 19 inches long. So that is quite a bit longer than my envelope. And I cut it that way because I want to tuck it in and line the inside of this. So when I pick this up, my lining shows in here. Okay. So I'm going to put this here like this. So the outside is stitched. And I'm going to put this here. Now, what you could do is you could go on and stitch around this, you know, the length of this if you wanted. Cut it off and then put this on the inside separately. But I like to do it so that it's attached. It's just much easier to handle this way. But it's totally up to you. You can do it whichever way that you choose. Now, I want to keep some of my stitching showing up here. So I'm lining this up the best that I can line it up here, like that. Now, I'm not going to have anything separate in the middle. It's all going to be one solid piece across, but I do want to hold it in place. I'm going to grab a couple of clamps here so that it's not wiggling around. Let me get my paper clips out of there as I'm trying to do this, because it will wiggle on you because it's up against plastic. Okay, and I'm going to do the inside first, the inside of my pocket first. That's why I'm clamping this down. The way I know I have it where I want it, and it doesn't wiggle on me. Now, and then I'll let this sit and dry overnight, especially since it's fabric. I'll let it sit and dry overnight. And I'm going to use this as my actual garden journal, you know, taking notes for in the garden, because I just don't have one that I can find anymore that I like. Okay, so now let's see where this is going to go here. Okay, so when I tuck this in, okay, so it covers the top part. So I have my other piece cut over here for the bottom. Now, I will sew across here. I'll sew across there to keep it from coming out, because it will flip and flop about. Now, I do need to trim this piece because it's a little bit too wide. My edges are a little bit too wide. So let's get that out of our way. And I'm going to just trim this a little bit. Now, the reason this is too wide is because of the way that, hold on a minute. Is because of the way that I sewed it. I can't talk and cut at the same time. Okay, now let's see if that was better. Yeah, I learned a long time ago I can't talk and cut at the same time. Okay. I cut crooked when I do that. Now let's see if that fits in there better. Alright, so I still need to... Oh, I need to move that clamp. That's part of my problem. Okay, so this still needs trimmed up to where my thumb is here. Okay. All right, you need to get out of my way. It was because of the way that I sewed the pocket. The pocket got sewed at an angle. On the edges. So it's okay if this isn't all the way up to the edge of it. I don't mind that. I just want the main flap part covered, or the main inside covered. Oh, that's better. Yeah, there. See, it's sitting flat now. Now I'm going to do this side with this piece. Now I know this piece is too wide because it's too wide for over here. So I am going to cut it to match this little piece. So I just need to be careful of my ribbon. I'm going to go on and put my ribbon in there so it's out of the way. And let's put this here like this. And here's the length that I need. I've had this for quite some time, and I just knew something would come about that I could use it for. I've got another one that when we make our garden journal here toward the end of the month that we'll be using that I cannot wait to use. Okay, now let's give this one a little angled cut. I don't think I did that one very well, did I? All right, well, that one's got a big boop-a-doop on it. Let's see how this fits on this side. Okay, now I'm going to glue this side down first, and then I'll do that side. Now, I think I'm going to use glass leather wood trim. Okay, I don't think that one's going to work, but I think this one will. This one's almost empty, so I think I'm going to use the fuller one. Okay. Now, I also have double-sided tape I think I might use on it. Right here to kind of hold it in place and get hold of it. All right, let's put that right there. Because I think that'll stick really well on the plastic while the glue is drying. I hope this is still sticky enough. I don't know, maybe it isn't. Doesn't feel real sticky. No. You can't do that. You can't stick on there. Okay. That'll at least stick on the plastic while the... That's not what I want. Good heavens. While the glue is drying, and that should at least help keep it from moving around. Oops. Oops, it's sticky enough. Okay. Let's get that off there. Okay. Come on. No, I don't want the tape. I just want the paper. Well, it is not sticking to the fabric very well. I thought double stick tape was supposed to stick to fabric. This is not sticking to the fabric at all. Maybe my double stick tape is just... Oh wait, there it is. There it is. I just didn't have it in the right spot. Silly girl. Come on. Oh my goodness sakes, this is more trouble than it's worth, I think. This is definitely more trouble than it's worth. I'm thinking I need some new double stick tape, you guys. All right, those of you that use double stick tape, is it supposed to be this hard on fabric? I've never used it on fabric before. I thought it was supposed to be easier than this. I've never used it on fabric before. So what am I doing wrong? I've used it on paper and it's, you know, come up lickety split, but this is a pain in the patootie on fabric. Oh my gracious sakes. It's coming eventually, and when it comes, it's really sticky, but I'm not sure what I've done wrong with it. Is there a special tape you use for fabric like this? Whoops. Sorry, big guy. Okay, well, I'll remember this and not do this again. Okay. Well, you were just not worth it. Not worth it at all. All right. Here, I thought you were just going to be quick and easy. You took forever. See, now it wants to stick to everything. All right, let's get you in there. Now it's going to stick to everything. Okay, so there's the top. See, now it's sticking to all the plastic. Yeah, that was a bad idea. That was just a really bad idea. I should have just stayed with the glue. Okay, this tape is coming off because it's just sticking where it's not supposed to be sticking. There. Now, come on, get in there. And I'll take care of you. Okay, you need some more glue now that all your glue's dried. Okay, well that was a waste of time. I did not like that at all. Okay, you're going in the trash. Okay, you. You are coming back here. Come on. Okay. There's the second piece. For my pocket. That one went in lickety split. Okay, there's my pocket. Oh my gracious. That was like pulling teeth. All right, let's unclip that. Now, this will go down quick because I am using this on the fabric. This is going to go around the fabric. Right there. Right there. Right there. out of the way. Okay, now I'm not gluing on the plastic. I'm just gluing the fabric. That's all I'm gluing. Because this doesn't need glued. It's going to get sewed right down the middle. So there's no need gluing it. Okay. Okay. There we go. Now where's my cap? Now, once this dries a little bit in here, I'll sew around there. And then I will make sure to show you this when we do our next one. Let's get some clamps on this glue. Did I put glue there? I think I did. There we go. So I'm going to let this stay clamped just for a little bit. Okay, so there are our ties. And there's our journal. Now, I will be putting pages in here because I do think I'm going to use this one for in my actual garden, because I need something to keep track of the plants I'm growing and where I've put them, and that little pocket will come in quite handy with my garden arrangement and the pictures that I take and things like that, and then I can show it to you guys. So I think that will come in quite handy. So when this dries, I will sew, I'll sew right across here to make sure that stays put right across there, because I will be getting in there quite a bit with the little index cards that I used to help me keep track of what's in each of my beds, and maybe even some of the pictures. And then maybe in our next video, we'll go on and sew in my pages for in here, or maybe one in the future after we get a couple more of our things done. Yeah, this is just being a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying this. Are you guys enjoying this series of just making some journal covers and just having some fun? I know I am. It has just been a lot of fun sharing these with you guys, because I do these all the time. I have a whole boatload of them up here. And I'm awfully glad to get to share them with you. Alrighty, so there we go. So that's an easy one that I enjoy making all the time. There we go. So that has to dry, and then when it does, I'll get my signature sewn in. That didn't make any sense, did it? And then I'll share it with you guys. And so this is my tie. So my tie was going to go like this. I'll just keep it tied shut. So back here, like I showed you, back here, nothing will come out of my little pocket because it will be sewed. It'll be closed right there. It'll be closed, so nothing will come out. None of my little cards will come out. None of my notes will come out, and nothing like that. So there we go. So now we've made a little garden journal, or you could use it as a writing journal even. It would be a great little writing journal. Here we go. We'll take this off and I'll show you. I think it's attached well enough. This would be a great little writing journal. It feels just great in your hands. It's just a wonderful texture in your hands. It's not hard, you know, like the hardback books that we use. And I think if you make one, you will enjoy the texture of it, because it's just the right size. So I want to thank you guys for joining me today, and I want to welcome our newest subscriber to the channel. Welcome. I hope that you're enjoying yourself and creating some journal covers with us. because I know they're a lot of fun. And stay tuned because I have several more to do and in our little journey. And I haven't forgotten about Grandma's attic. Oh my gracious, no, I have not forgotten about her. I have some fun things planned for Grandma's attic. And a couple of the other journals we were working on. But I thought you guys would enjoy a break in doing some things like these. So stay tuned for some new videos coming up. And until I see you again in our next Ladybug Journals video, ta-ta for now.